Hey guys, Scarletz here. So if you take a look at Bane's recent patch on his second skill, you can see that its damage multiplier got increased from 1.5 times to 2.5 times of the original damage, which is absolutely great. But they also lowered the base damage and magic power scaling by a significant amount of 50%. So how much does this really affect the damage output? Is it actually a buff or a nerf, and how big is the difference? Well, I'll do the math for the rough comparison. So in the early game for a physical build Bane, I'm not sure if I calculated it wrong or not, but the damage on his level 1 skill actually got lowered on the new Bane. Now if we max his second skill, then the new Bane wins. But do I really have to max my second skill if I'm playing a fighter build? Of course, I'll be focusing on my first skill, and if we look at the damage difference, the increase isn't really that major either. So I can conclude that maybe this buff is actually intended for Mage Build Bane. So in the early game, where we have for example 50 magic power, at level 1 skill, the old Bane is able to deal around 510 damage, while the new Bane is able to deal around 512 damage, which is such a really massive increase. Now in the late game with 654 magic power, the old Bane is able to deal up to around 2440 damage, while the new Bane is able to deal up to around 2975 damage. This means the buff on his second skill is really beneficial only for Mage Bane, which is a very niche build since Mage Bane is only good against low HP enemies. But at least for those who love to play Bane as a mage, this buff on his second skill might be a really great buff because you can already notice the damage increase in the mid game, especially if Bane has both Holy Crystal. But for a physical fighter build, this buff is just a minor buff. And there are two flaws that you need to know about Mage Build. The first one is your basic attack passive and first skill will have a really low damage. So when you need them to kill an enemy, it will be more difficult. Second is that one of Bane's strength, which is being able to play safely by just spamming his first skill, will be no more. Because his second skill has a wide but short range, so he will need to move to the front line to deal damage. But if you manage to make it into the late game with a mage build, then you will probably be able to burst their backliner if they don't have any defensive item like Twilight or Athena. Not to mention, the massive heal from his second skill can be a great lifesaver in certain situations. Now will I use this mage build in rank match? Maybe, but not as a jungler. Maybe as an XP or mid laner. Well, I'll try to show it to you if I do get a great gameplay with this build. And so, I think that's all for now. Thanks for watching and see you around.